Hello students, this is Mrs. Sonal Patil. We had begin with the chapter Human Health and Disease. In our last class, we studied about immunity, that is innate immunity and acquired immunity, and also we studied about structure of an antibody molecule. Today, we will begin with active and passive immunity. Active immunity, it is immunity developed by an individual naturally due to exposure to antigens by way of infection. This is called natural active immunity, while the immunity obtained artificially through vaccination is called artificial active immunity. It is a slow and takes time to give its full effective response. Injecting microbes deliberately during immunization or infectious organisms, gaining access into body during natural infection induce active immunity. So this is about the active immunity. So when a host is exposed to antigens, which may be in the form of living or dead microbes or other proteins, antibodies are produced in the host body. This type of immunity is called active immunity. Nextly, passive immunity. It is naturally obtained immunity when a non-immune individual receives antibodies from another individual, that is mother to child, transfer of antibodies through placenta and breast milk. This type of immunity is called as natural passive immunity. So when ready-made antibodies are directly given to protect the body against foreign antigens, it is called as passive immunity. When an individual is artificially administered with antibodies through injection from a donor, example antiserum of animal or human origin, it is called artificial passive immunity. Natural passive immunity, that is nothing but infants receive passive immunity from their mother in two ways, namely through the placenta and through breastfeeding. The initial milk, that is colostrum, secreted by mother during the initial period of lactation is rich in antibody, that is IgA, to protect the infant. So colostrum is nothing but it is a yellowish fluid secreted by mother during the initial days of lactation. It has abundant antibodies to protect the infant. The fetus also receives some antibodies from their mother through the placenta during pregnancy. So these are the examples, some of the examples for passive immunity. Coming to the artificial passive immunity, it is developed when individual is artificially administered with antibodies by physician. The individual generally subjected to this treatment have frequently recurring infections or inability to resist infection. As a countermeasure, a human immunoglobulin preparation may be administered. Earlier preparations of horse and sheep proteins were administered, but these being foreign to the human body may elicit an active immune response leading to an allergic reaction. To avoid such problems, humans are often used as a source of passive antibodies. Coming to the difference between active and passive immunity, Active immunity, it is immunity developed in our body when antigens are introduced, that is, response to infection or vaccination. Passive immunity, it is immunity developed in a person by introduction of antibodies that are produced in another organism. It takes time to form and a few in number in active immunity. In passive immunity, they are already prepared antibodies and are many in number. Active immunity, it lasts longer, that is, gives lifelong immunity, whereas passive immunity, it gives short-lived immunity. The antibodies produced are harmless in active immunity. The antibodies produced may become harmful and start immune reaction against host body. Active immunity, it is effective for large number of infections, whereas passive immunity, it is effective only for limited infections like against food poisoning, snake venom, dog bite, etc. Coming to the next, vaccination and immunization. Vaccination is the process of administration of inactivated pathogen or antigenic protein of a pathogen into a healthy person to produce immunity against the specific disease, whereas immunization is a process by which the body produces antibodies against the administered vaccine. So, the principle of immunization or vaccination is based on the property of memory of the immune system. In vaccination, a preparation of antigenic proteins of pathogen or inactivated or weakened pathogen are introduced into the body. The antibodies produced in the body against these antigens would neutralize the pathogenic agents during actual infection. The vaccines also generate memory B and T cells that recognize the pathogen quickly on subsequent exposure and overwhelm the invaders with a massive production of antibodies. If a person is infected with deadly microbes to which quick immune response is required, as in tetanus, we need to directly inject the performed antibodies or antitoxins. In the cases of snake bites, the injection which is given to the patients contain preformed antibodies against the snake venom. This type of immunization is called passive immunization. Recombinant DNA technology or rDNA technology has allowed the production of antigenic polypeptides of pathogen in bacteria or yeast. Vaccines produced using this approach allow large scale production and hence greater availability for immunization. Example, hepatitis B vaccine produced from yeast. So that was about vaccination and immunization. Next, coming to the allergies. Allergy is referred to as hypersensitivity of immune system towards foreign substance that is normally harmless. Genetic tendency plays a role since allergies tend to run in families. It was an Australian pediatrician, Clemence Pirquet, who first used the term allergy. The word allergy is derived from the Greek word allos, meaning different or changed, and ergos, meaning work or action. The word allergy was first used in 1905 to describe the adverse reactions of children who were given repeated shots of horse serum to fight infection. So, the exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment is called allergy. And the substances that cause this excessive immune response are called as allergens. Please note it is not mentioned here. So, the allergens are the substances that cause excessive immune response. Example, pollens, insect stings, molds, dust, food, etc. During allergic reactions, the immune system develops a specific type of antibody called Immunoglobulin E or IgE. Symptoms of allergic reactions include sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, and difficulty in breathing. So these are the symptoms. So some you might have experienced when you have gone to a new place and suddenly you start sneezing, wheezing for no explained reasons. And when you went away, your symptoms disappeared. Some of us are sensitive to some particles in the environment. So the above mentioned reaction could be because of allergy to pollen, mites, etc., which are different in different places. So allergy is due to the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin. So these, or you can say that the antibody promotes production and release of chemicals like serotonin and histamine from the mast cells during the allergic reactions. These chemicals causes dilation of peripheral blood vessels, which results in the leakage of the large amount of fluid, which in turn drastically reduce the blood pressure. For determining the cause of allergy, the patient is exposed to or injected with very small doses of possible allergens and reactions studied. The use of drugs like antihistamine, adrenaline, and steroids quickly reduce the symptoms of allergy. So these, or you can say that simplest way to find out allergen is to keep the patient away from triggering allergens. Antihistamines may be given to, as I said, a new improved method like desensitization is done where the patient is exposed to allergens in tiny increasing doses. It is a simple procedure in which drops of the suspected allergens are put into the patient's arm and a tiny prick is made in each drop to see how the skin reacts. Blood tests are another way to track down allergies. Avoidance of allergens is the best way to prevent symptoms. Nowadays, modern day lifestyle has resulted in lowering immunity and more sensitivity to allergens. More and more children in metro cities of India suffer from allergies and asthma due to sensitivity to the environment. This could be because of protected environment provided early in life. So this was about allergies. Coming to the autoimmune immunity, our immune system protects our body from disease and infection. But unfortunately, sometimes our own immune system attacks healthy cells in our body by mistake. These misdirected immune responses are referred to as autoimmunity. Autoimmune diseases can affect many parts of the body and tend to run in families. Autoimmunity is present in everyone to some extent and can strike any part of the body. Hence, symptoms vary widely and diagnosis and treatment are often difficult. Examples for autoimmune diseases are Graves' disease, myasthenia gravis, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. So it is nothing but it is a misdirected immune response which is called as autoimmunity. Immune system in the body. The immune system is a system which has the capacity to recognize the entry of antigens through all possible routes into the body and mobilize its cells to destroy them. It includes the lymphoid system, which plays a major role in providing defense against pathogen. So the human immune system consists of lymphoid organs, tissues, cells and soluble molecules like antibodies. Immune system is unique in the sense that it recognizes foreign antigens, responds to these and remembers them. The immune system also plays an important role in allergic reactions, autoimmune diseases, and organ transplantation. Lymphoid organs. These are the organs where origin and or maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur. The primary lymphoid organs are bone marrow and thymus, where immature lymphocytes differentiate into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. After maturation, the lymphocytes migrate to secondary lymphoid organs like spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches of small intestine, and appendix. The secondary lymphoid organs provide the sites for interaction of lymphocytes with antigen, which then proliferate to become effector cells. The bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ where all blood cells, including lymphocytes, are produced. The thymus is a lobed organ located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. The thymus is quite large at the time of birth but keeps reducing in size with age, and by the time puberty is attained, it reduces to a very small size. Both bone marrow and thymus provide microenvironments for development and maturation of T lymphocytes. The spleen is a large bean shaped organ. It mainly contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. It acts as a filter of the blood by trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Spleen also has a large reservoir of erythrocytes. The lymph nodes are small solid structures located at different points along the lymphatic system. The lymph nodes are small solid structures located at different points along the lymphatic system, as I told. The lymph nodes serve to trap the microorganisms or other antigens which happen to get into lymph and tissue fluid. Antigens trapped in the lymph nodes are responsible for activation of lymphocytes present there and cause immune response. There is lymphoid tissue also located within lining of major tracts, that is respiratory, digestive, and urogenital tracts, called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Very important question for 1 mark. Mucosa associated lymphoid tissue located within lining of the major tracts. It constitutes about 50% of lymphoid tissue in human body. So this was about the immune system in the body. We studied about autoimmunity we have studied. So today we have studied about active immunity, passive immunity, vaccination and immunization, allergies, autoimmunity, and immune system in the body. Assignment questions will be given for you at the end of this particular chapter. For today, we'll stop here, and in the next class, we'll begin with the next part of the chapter. Thank you.